purposes.
Okay, I've started the stream and the channel is live. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Woohoo!
Dragons and old
Woohoo!
dungeons.
All the Dungeons and Dragons.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I'm the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Starla Hodgson as Carolina Swift,
Hello, friends.
Jenny Meltzer as Zaleen,
Hello.
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn,
Good evening.
and Mark Kilfoyle as Vertigo.
I feel like I've crossed over to a different universe with all the strange words.
So, when last we left our heroes, the Pocket Protectors had connected with a rebel cell on the island of Dinuthair and had been planning to next travel to visit the faction of the Pillarines, the strange organization that guards the pillar at the top of the highest mountain on the island. And you had been told that they were hostile to all who would attempt to come anywhere near the pillar. However, there was a magical device that they called an authenticator that had, in times past, been used to indicate some degree of trust with the Pillarines. And so they offered that if you were interested in having such a thing, even though they couldn't guarantee that it would get you anywhere, all they needed was help retrieving it from a safe house, which you did successfully, although you definitely found that they were prepared to send many constructs into protecting this safe house, and you suspect that once word gets out of who it was at the safe house, it may be that they will be redoubling their efforts in that vicinity. So whether you want to stay in that area or not is up to you. Alas, Zinhorn's magical spear was knocked into the water and had to be left behind as you fled the increasing waves of constructs. But you did retrieve the authenticator along with a few other things that this rebel contact, Kelvin, had retrieved from the house. However, the agreement that you had made was that they were hoping that those things would stay with the rebels for their own use, and that the authenticator was the item that you were all entitled to. So, as you had flown away from that safe house, hidden yourselves in the woods, and found yourself now out of immediate danger, what would you like to do?
Hmm.
Well, rest soon.
No?
That was considerable.
Yep. Well, at some point we have to go back. I lost my spear. But,
You
know,
lost it?
Yeah, the thing knocked it out of my hand and sent it into the water, the big nasty thing. But,
Oh.
yeah, I can pick up another weapon later. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
I thought everybody could just do this and I just summon my weapon into my hand and I make it disappear.
No, unfortunately I can't do that. But, yeah, the freezing drill spear is gone, so now that there's nothing there anymore, hopefully, in a couple of days or a couple of weeks or whatever, they'll
Move
leave
on.
that place alone, and we can just go and pick it up. But if I find something else in the meantime, I'm not like hugely attached to it. It was nice.
You at least didn't leave it somewhere obvious where they might just pick it up?
It went into the water.
Oh,
So
that's probably good then.
yeah.
There was a lot of stuff in that
wanted,
water
it's
already.
not like it's powered by nightmares.
True.
Yeah.
I am sorry you lost your spear, though. I mean, if you all need to rest, you can certainly come back to, our base. But certainly, I think, given that we escaped their trap at the safe house, they're certainly going to be searching the area for a while now. I mean, we're going to have to lay low for a little while at least.
Yeah. That seems like the best course of action. Do you know any places around here that they're not familiar with that we could hide at?
Well, I mean, I presumed we were going back to our headquarters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then we'll go back to your headquarters with you for
Um,
now, and then we can make plans to go to the Pillarines.
so I think as you return to the headquarters, certainly it's the same place that you had just left from before. Everyone is very pleased at your safe return, and you are encouraged to tell the story of the battle. Kelvin looks like would rather not be the one pressed into service for that purpose. I'm not going to necessarily make you do it in character right now, but I'm just saying that, like, if you're hanging out with everyone for another long rest, I think there's going to be lots of people who want to hear how it went.
Oh, and you have a bard who loves to tell stories.
Go C3PO. Tell them the story.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm picturing.
Does she do the sound effects too?
Probably.
So certainly, I think that there is a pleasant camaraderie here amongst this rebel cell. Although you definitely have a sense that there is things are a little bit more locked down than they were. You were told that this was about you expect patrols from the construct makers in the area to be stepped up for a while due to this whole incident. But they are, very pleased to have retrieved some other magical artifacts and implements from that safe house, and I think you had previously discussed with Placer your plans to travel to the Pillar, and you were promised a guide to take you up to a certain point at least. But I think you are sensing in some of these discussions that they haven't had a volunteer step forward to be that guide yet. And I think that you are sensing some it's been promised and you don't think that they would renege, but you also are getting the feeling that they think it's really dangerous to do what you're proposing. And that whoever it is that would volunteer to be your guide would be risking themselves to do so. So, again, I think you're getting that vibe over the course of this evening.
So I think at some point I would, just knowing that that whole vibe is happening, be like, so I know this is pretty dangerous, and maybe, I mean, we don't want to put anyone else at risk if we don't have to. Would it be possible to just get a map instead? Is there a downside to that?
Placer says the difficulty with the region that you are traveling to is that the pillar warps the landscape around it for some distance making maps unreliable. We have personnel who have been through that region before and have some experience with the sort of phenomena that you might encounter on your journey. But there is no guarantee that everything is the same as it would have been the previous time. I would ask, before I commit one of our members to help you, what is your intent as you approach? Because as I mentioned, even with the authenticator, my expectation is that the instant you reveal yourselves, they will magically fire upon you from a distance with no further communication. That has been their pattern for all recent attempts.
Does anybody know why they are the way they are? Like, did something happen, or was this something like gradual over time? And just like one day all of a sudden they just started shooting at you? Like,
Their chosen calling has for some time been to protect the pillar from any who would seek to use its power for their own gain. Those who made their home there submitted to a sort of magical nullification that renders them immune to the mind-altering powers excuse me, of the pillar. And there had been treaties amongst all other factions that no one would be sent to claim that power. However, since all peaceful negotiation between factions has essentially broken down, those treaties hold no more weight. But even still, there were those who could approach the Pillarines for communication and trade up until there was a recent incident whereupon a large sentient construct and its pilot breached the security and produced a change from the pillar. This had hardened the resolve from the Pillarines.
Is there a way to communicate with them, like not in person? Like send a magical message? I mean, I wouldn't know the first person who to contact, but
the magical procedure that they undergo renders them invisible to many traditional means of magical communication. There had in the past been technological methods for communication, but those require a two-way connection to operate, and they have not rendered the signal open from their end in some time.
Vertigo, does that mean the paper airplanes wouldn't work?
I was thinking that, given how warped and twisted the area vis-a-vis magic it's entirely possible that the magic would fail or unravel or entirely change. It would be difficult to tell without testing it, and, well, it might only get one test. It also wouldn't necessarily return, well, the papers wouldn't return. If they were given extras, they could be told to name the result, but
you hear, calling kind of from the entry where you're speaking with the placer here is just say, you can't trust any magic as you get close to the pillar. And walking in is Trudelai, who is the leader of the the patrol that you rescued from the siphoners, and she says, "I've been up there. I'll take you back, but you can't count on anything working like you're used to when you get close to the pillar. It warps everything around it, including your own mind. Your mind plays tricks on you. You can't trust your senses as you get closer and closer."
Has anyone been able to create any sort of buffer against this? There are magical means to create some barriers that might withstand.
The only one that I have heard anything about is the procedure that the Pillarines themselves undergo, which essentially renders them immune and unable to use magic.
Mm.
It's a sort of permanent anti magic effect, but as far as I can tell, it's not reversible.
That's an interesting problem.
If there's a secret to reversing it, they aren't sharing it with anyone.
It may also mean that we may need to divest ourselves of some of our gear so that it is not ruptured and or damaged. Even the gear that sometimes relies upon the Dinotherian magic theory might not necessarily hold up very well, given nothing here does. That will make it difficult.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that, that there are certain things that work and certain things that don't. But it's all very unpredictable, and something that seems like it's working fine one day will stop working the next. It's something about the magical field that surrounds that thing. It just it's impossible to predict.
Has anyone besides the Pillarines tried to study it?
Well, I mean, tried is the operative word.
Mm-hmm. I'm sensing a thesis.
The issue essentially is that the effect that it has on conscious minds that approach it warps perception and reads subconscious intent in such a way that scientific inquiry is impaired, if you follow me.
Does this sound like a familiar experience?
Um,
Like
Have you been drunk before?
when we were with the Titan, like does it
oh,
sound
well, I
similar
mean,
to
absolutely, yes, but you also, I believe you know in character that the working theory here is that what the pillar is a
Mhm.
leftover Titan's weapon.
Mhm.
So that part is not like it's theoretical, but it's a pretty solid theory. But that it's a difference between saying we're pretty sure that's what it is, but we can't really get close enough to get any kind of a real concrete data about anything.
Do the Pillarines ever leave the area to trade with others?
I mean, there are individuals who did in the past leave the fortress, but it's, I mean, they maintain a base. It's not like they all come out together.
But do any of them venture to get food or supplies and might come to a neutral area where we might be able to speak with them?
I mean, that used to be, but not in a long time.
Hmm.
Not since this. I mean, they had been trending in this direction, this hostile direction already, but after this most recent breach, they just sealed everything off completely.
Well, while I'm sure that I could formulate at least 2,000 questions to ask them, it does mean to narrow it down somewhat. I
I
had hoped
mean,
that they would be at the center of the issue, but maybe
all
too
I
much.
can think is that if you reveal yourselves to them, the odds are that they're just going to attack. If you can withstand or evade their attack for long enough to persuade them that you have some difference about you that means that they should change their minds, then that's one thing. But I don't know that you've told me anything that I think would persuade them compared to what we've already tried. I mean, what is it that you want to even talk to them about?
Hmm.
I mean, their position is that the pillar is a sacred site that none should ever approach. And frankly, just based on my own understanding of the situation, it's hard to argue with them, frankly, because although sometimes people, they like it's there's always a price for whatever comes out of that thing. Like it's crazy powerful, but you never know what you're going to get.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't remember why we wanted to go.
I think it was
Well,
really just I mean, if I recall, I think it was partly just on the basis of you kind of want to hear the perspective from all the factions.
Ah.
Well, you also had
also,
Well,
some interest in wanting to understand the pillar better, but
do we think they would be more inclined to speak with people who are not from here?
I mean, maybe. That's certainly something we haven't been able to try in a while.
So how would we even do that? We just walk up there with a big sign that says, "We are not from here."
not locals.
Not
Hello,
look.
we are
Yeah.
mainlanders. We're tourists.
It's a very
We'd
big
like to
sign.
see your pillar.
Show us your pillars? No. If
Oh,
this
you've got
island
pillars.
is in imbalance and we want to try to balance it again, one of the hopes is to understand how the imbalance came to be. And they are more likely to have some understanding outside of, well, what the other factions have done. Eh, Would there be something that they might want or need done that could demonstrate our good intentions?
I mean, possibly. What I can definitely tell you is that kind of their whole thing is not wanting people to approach the pillar. And so I think to the extent that you give them any indication that you do want to approach the pillar is going to be a complete non-starter. Like they're not going to negotiate on that point.
Well, we don't need to approach the pillar. We just want to talk with them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what you're going to have to persuade them.
How do
Because
the
it's a little bit like a dragon sitting on a hoard of gold and trying to persuade that dragon that you don't want their gold.
hmm,
So, I mean, I think the biggest challenge will be getting them to talk to us in the first place. But once we can, we have a pretty good persuader in our midst.
We're
So
True.
good at that.
I
So,
think
any
if you did have something you could point to, like I mean, beyond just rhetorical expertise, which I don't mean to diminish the value of, but if you had some sort of a way to prove to them that you don't want the pillar, that you're here for something else, I don't know what that would be, but if you had something like that, that might make the difference.
Hmm.
maybe we should have
so
got a letter of intent from the others.
yeah.
A letter. Hmm. Um, What do we have still laying around from, I don't know, when we started all of this? Like, because I know we had the letter from Elister to Isilda, right? Do we have anything else?
There are a few items.
Might be
You're
somewhere.
muted.
Yes. How do we
Not
actually
you, Paul,
prove
but
we're not
Scarlet.
from here? Because I um that's gonna be harder for me.
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
Vertigo, you can share your mind, right?
More or less.
So if we could get close enough for you to share your mind and show them our intent, could that work?
Well, aside from the possible warping effects of strange magics and possibly Titan artifacts affecting a person's mind to the point where they become insane, aside from that caveat, no, because they are already shut off to any magical effect, and I don't think I'd be able to contact them that way. They might
Hmm.
not even hear my voice in their head.
When you were with the Titan's brain, do you think there was anything that you might have gleaned from that would be helpful?
Mm.
I know you've been very scattered and all over the place, and I think it was because of that. But if there was a reason, maybe some kind of information that you got during that time that might be able to help us.
Eh, mm, eh, Difficult. I think fast most of the time, but nothing like that. I try to think of it, and it is hard, but there's something. I've not been able to understand. Maybe there's
What if there
something.
was what if there was a way for us to mimic the Titan's call?
I didn't want to interrupt that whole thing, but I couldn't help but just. Did you say when you were in a Titan's brain?
In a manner of being, yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had some interaction with the Titan um a couple weeks ago.
If you had some way to, I mean, I think that's the sort of thing that would impress them because their whole
It's just
thing
a
is
matter.
that the Titan's weapon is so sacred that it cannot be approached because they have this awe and fear and reverence for the Titans. If you could show them
Does
you were aligned on that point.
does the does this Titan weapon, does it put off any like vibrational sounds or frequency that draws people closer?
I mean, I've never been that close, but you can definitely even just as close as I've been, which is well outside their sort of inner fortress, but I mean, I think anyone can sort of feel that you're approaching something. I mean, powerful, incomprehensible. I don't know how to describe it, but it's you feel that you're approaching something that it's like you know if there's a bonfire, you don't have to have your eyes open. You can feel the heat on your face, right? Like you can feel that you're approaching something.
But it's not something that draws people into it. That like when you were there, you didn't feel compelled to move closer.
I mean, no, I don't think like that. But I mean, the lure of the pillar has always been the power that it offers. You know, it's um, all the stories about it are people who are just so sure that they're the one, that if only they could reach the pillar, that somehow what they would get from it would solve all their problems.
It's not entirely unlike the call.
It's kind of like what the Lady Despair was doing to people.
It's very arrogant.
Yeah. I mean, she was using that thing that we went to. Some of that stuff is it's hard in my brain because it was a very confusing time. And but there was that whole weird ritual that she had where people would get the crown and they thought all of their everything was going to be great and perfect and they would have all their wishes come true. It's similar.
What did we do with the crown? Like, did we leave that back there? Is it
I
useless?
think
Like, I don't remember.
that we still have it, don't we? Like she had it.
Um,
Yes. What's her name? Refused to put it on, didn't she?
Started.
um,
Didn't we take it with us?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, after the Lady Despair passed from this world,
Mhm.
um, I'm remembering something like the crown was useless after that.
Yeah,
I think it was.
recall that the crown's power was to nullify any Fey contracts that you were currently bound by.
Right.
Um, I think that it's, you know, I may be mistaken because I haven't re-listened to those episodes in a little while, but I think that part of what was going on there was that it was kind of all connected to her deal, and it was powered by the Titan, and the resolution of what happened with the Titan and to the Lady Despair in that case made the crown kind of, you know, it was moot. Like
Didn't we actually like use the crown to help the Titan? That was part of the deal. Like if we
Yeah.
put the crown on the Titan, it would
We ended up not needing to
weaken
do
it
that
or
though.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think.
So, but I'm pretty sure that the crown is basically a non-factor after all of that went down.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm mostly just wondering if there's any like I don't know, like magical traces on it or
Hmm.
something that might. Mm, it's just a thought.
it just feels very similar
Yeah.
to
Well,
me.
I
Like
mean,
the
the other.
whole premise
Yeah.
of it feels very similar
Mhm.
to what she was doing, the way people feel, this will solve all my problems.
Well, I mean the other piece just connected. You're talking through all of that part is that the diamond you determined was kind of effectively like the Titan's tier.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But of course, that's kind of currently, you know, stuck in your portal generating
Yeah.
thing.
It's how we got here.
Hmm.
The tears of Titans opened the door.
Which does also just connect to another moving piece of this whole situation that you haven't thought about in a little while.
Yeah, our frenemy.
Hmm.
Yeah, like where the heck is that guy?
Yeah. What's he doing?
Hmm.
Should we have maybe warned everybody about him, or at least these people?
Well, no, because we don't even know what he's doing. I mean, if we just tell everybody there's another person from out there here, but we have no idea what he's here to do, then we just become alarmists. Maybe it's like
Well,
raising
but
all these red
I,
flags, but I mean,
I
maybe he's here to do
think
something good.
really.
We don't know.
Well,
Honestly, like
but
we don't know.
I think it might be helpful to just say, "Hey, be on the lookout for this guy."
Hmm.
Whether or not you can trust him, a little iffy. Just that much of a warning, I think, is probably
It's
helpful.
also rather difficult to describe him given that he changes his appearance when he needs to, or just vanishes.
Yes,
It's
what's he
difficult to
look
describe
like?
you at times too, but for different reasons.
Well, yes, but the people on this island, that's normal for them.
Yeah, it's true.
They might be able to describe it. I'm not sure I can. Still,
So we don't have any way, like with our current Titan experience, that would help us get closer. But if we could convey that experience to the Pillarines in some way, it could be our in.
it
I mean,
might
maybe.
be possible on the edge of the shifting zone to set up some sort of um, amplifier to announce our presence, and with it, sort of shade some of our experience into it.
Maybe we could draw pictures.
Well,
Yeah, we can't really count on magic. That's kind of the whole point. I mean, maybe we just walk up there and see what happens.
well,
Well,
I
it's
was
going to be
thinking
a
of
couple of
using.
days' travel at least, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking using Denetherian magic itself, which should be a little more in line with what's happening in that area. I'm not perfect in my studies of chaotic magic or Denetherian magic. That's one of the things I hope to discover while I'm here.
But I'm scared for you
Why?
because you've been so confused. I worry that if you're doing things that you're uncertain about, that it could be really dangerous.
Well, I mean, there are some risks involved. Um, there are risks involved in most of the things we do.
That's true.
This just happens to be more um, personal, I suppose.
Hmm.
I'm not sure who I am. And I feel that's important. This might be a way to find out more.
So, something that sticks out to me is that they said all these people that would go to the pillar, they were so sure that they were the ones that could fix it or, do whatever. But we're not. Like, none of us are sure about anything here. Maybe that's the thing that makes us different.
Maybe, but at the
Maybe,
same
yeah.
time, like we come back to the same problem is how we convey that in order to, spark a relationship and establish some trust.
So, you say they have like checkpoints or something? Like,
Yes, they do.
kind of.
And I think at this point, Placer kind of steps, resumes part of this conversation just to say the other piece that I would mention. I do not wish to presume the inner thoughts and feelings of any of you, but do not underestimate within yourself the temptation presented by the thought that you could have anything you wanted simply by approaching a location close enough.
That's really scary.
Yeah, I definitely need to make sure I don't go close to it.
I've already been there.
There are many cautionary tales about the pillar, and the common theme amongst all of them is frequently that what someone thinks they want from the pillar turns out to be something other than what they actually get. And this is not because the pillar does not deliver what is promised, but because they were wrong about their own intentions.
So if we say we don't want anything, we could be lying to ourselves.
So, are there any stories about? Because you say there's all these cautionary tales. Are there any stories that are aspirational rather than, cautionary tales?
Did anybody succeed?
The one story that seemed to be the exception
The first one.
for a long time is the story of Talitha bringing back the magic to banish the nightmares. And there was a long period of time where that was seen as the singular example of a pure-hearted wish that produced the desired outcome. And yet, here we are. I don't know that Talitha today would think that she got what she wanted.
Oh, I promise you, she doesn't.
No.
No.
It does feel like the same, doesn't it? The nightmares enhance what you didn't realize you wanted and twist them.
Mm.
I think that we need to really think hard about what we don't want.
So here's, I would have a thought. So there's these checkpoints, right? Is there a way to just, I don't know, like tie a message to an arrow and shoot it towards the gate, and then they can read it? Like it's pretty basic mail delivery.
True to Life says, I mean, you can try that, but I don't, I mean, what happens if you go there? Are you going to just sit and wait for them to do something?
Well, I mean, like, what if we, in this message that we send, we're like, we would love to talk to you. Meet us here.
Yeah, we don't want the pillar. We just want to
Yeah,
talk
we
to you.
don't want to be at the pillar.
We
Because
wanna
that's
approach
really
the truth.
pillar.
That's
And
scary
we're
business.
from-
No, thank you.
And
We're
like,
from the
we can
outside.
even promise them that we would cast like Zone of Truth so that they know that we're telling the truth.
Well, so listen, I wish that I could tell you that this plan or that plan would work, but I don't know. I will, however, take you to within sight of their fortress. I can't promise any further than that, but I can get you there.
I have to be honest. I would like to inspect the pillar. I would like to know more.
I know.
I'm just
I
being
mean, I
honest.
don't think that makes you a bad person. I don't think the desire to understand such a strange thing is a bad impulse. I think that there might even be somewhere out there the person whose subconscious desires would, I don't know, maybe it's I don't know about that. I'm not judging anyone here, but I am telling you that the Pillarines have decided that no one is good enough, and they're going to do everything they can to enforce that.
Well,
But like I said, that's all based on a belief that the Titans are supreme, at least in power, if not morality. And previous experience with Titans is something that I don't think anyone else they've ever talked to has.
Well, I say we rest up and then just do like we always do. We'll figure it out as we go.
At the very least, getting a
Yeah.
closer look at the way that warped everything is happening might tell us more.
Right. Well, I'd say get some rest. I can find the way. Like I said, it might not be the same, but I feel like I've been there enough that I can find the way. But there will be dangerous stuff. So, be ready for that.
Are there
You know,
beasts or monsters that roam the area?
Sometimes you
I mean,
might even
just
see
once, just once, I would love to just take a stroll through a pleasant field of flowers where nothing tries to kill us. That would be great. But I don't think that's what's going to happen here.
Well, you're not necessarily seeking out the places that are less dangerous. Seems to me that you are saying, what is the most dangerous place on the island, and let's go straight there.
Yeah, that seems to be the way we work. We started off with the construct makers in their fortress. I mean,
but also, I mean, I don't know. We don't plan it. We talk about it a lot, and
It's
then
a
we get there
four-letter
and we just
word. We
kind of
don't
wing
use
it.
four-letter words.
Four-letter words are too short anyway.
Well, so we might find anything. Like I said, it's there's perilous geography. Sometimes there's strange monstrous creatures. Sometimes there might be construct maker patrols or who knows what else. Hard to predict, but danger guaranteed. But if we can weather those dangers, I can get us to the fortress. So I'd
all
say
right.
get some rest, and then I'll be ready when you're ready tomorrow.
Yeah, I need a long rest.
Sleepy
I'm gonna
time.
take a long rest.
Um, if we find ourselves a place to rest, I will
Come
ask
to the
Solomonia
tower.
for some power.
So
You can't
you're back
communicate
at
with her.
the rebel headquarters now. So
Yeah. But if we find a place that's settled, and I think Vertigo will call upon the word of recall and cast Private Sanctum once more in the
Okay.
area. Just gives us a little bit more scrying defense.
so
As much as
well.
anything
So
else.
right now you are. I had you in like the cave hideout
Mhm.
of Placer's cell here. So I mean, you want to do it inside there, or you wanting somewhere else? I'm not sure I follow what you're saying.
But wherever we set up the tower for the night,
Okay.
he would do it in that area. Not necessarily all of the other stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want to draw attention, so not necessarily fog and what was it? Fog and the sound one is kind of fun
Mm-hmm.
because it gives a different session or different feeling. But the divination spell reflectors,
Sure. Well,
and
especially given the
teleportation.
nature of the tower, you can basically just say, "Give us some little dead end tunnel," and
Yeah.
we'll block off part of it. I think that's not a problem.
Just in case they are looking for us or anything we bring with us.
I'm going to encourage us to go ahead and not just clock wipe that you're going to bed, but to say let's cut to you are already on your way. You are traveling, unless there are
Yeah,
any objections.
I have no objection.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So you have been traveling several hours overland. You have periodically had to hide your presence from various patrols of constructs through the air. Um, as with your journey to that safe house, you do even occasionally sense off in the distance there are larger constructs moving through the forest, but you are managing to keep your distance from them. And eventually you make your way to a cave in the steep rocky slope of, you are in the process of entering the mountain range that has at its center the enormous central peak. And Trudelai, your guide here, says, we're going to enter the caves, which are, I suspect, safer by comparison than trying to travel overland. We can get further in this way. That's the way we certainly used to go. And unless you have some sort of a preference to travel, in the open air. All right. So you are traveling through this cavern. Do any of you do anything for light? Because you're obviously, underground.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm fine, but
I have a dagger of blind sight, so I should be okay.
Well, okay. So here's the thing.
I will just cast some light orbs while
Yeah,
we're going,
I was
so
just
that
gonna
the people
say,
who
like,
can't see.
blind sight is one thing, dark vision is another thing. It's like maybe you're not gonna like bump into something, but there's a difference between that and saying you can see clearly everything that's around you, right?
yeah.
But
I've got dancing lights
sure,
cantrip, so
yeah. So
Mhm.
that's
I have
what
the
I was
light
asking.
cantrip
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So that's certainly sufficient, and so they don't, True to Light doesn't need to light, do any torches or anything like that.
Okay.
And I think that you're passing through a lot of caverns where it's a pretty significant uphill sort of grade through many of these tunnels. But at the same time, it's not quite like going straight up a steep mountain slope. There's kind of various like switchbacks, and occasionally you're entering like larger sort of cavern, larger cave networks with various tunnels. And True to Life seems to have kind of just an instinct or an impulse for which way to go. If they have more information for how they're choosing some of the paths they take, they don't necessarily share it. I mean, you could ask, but they don't, you will occasionally watch them enter a big area where you could go 5 different ways, and they head towards one and say this way. And then I think as you've been traveling, there is a growing sense that at first you wonder if it is really just perhaps the anxiety of traveling in the direction of this thing that you've heard so many, scary stories about. But I think you do, over these hours, start to feel almost like a pressure behind your eyes, that there is a change in something. You can feel something that it's hard to put into words because you've never really encountered it before, except now as a change from what you felt before. And the sense that it gives you more than anything else is of looming power that you are drawing close, that you can feel in the same way that they described, feeling a bonfire from the heat on your skin, even if you can't see. And once you kind of detect that, you understand that probably a big part of what Trudelai is doing in navigating is literally just following that feeling. But as you continue to travel, these caves are a bit more sterile than you might normally expect with natural caves. They're pretty dry, which again is not, most naturally forming tunnels and caverns get that way because of water. Not exclusively, but sometimes a cave could be formed with water originally that then changes. But these tunnels give you more of, they feel as though they were not eroded away, but dug away by something that did so without any kind of a rational purpose, right? They're not going in specific directions. They kind of wander, but they just give you the vibe of almost like a burrowed tunnel, more than a naturally occurring cave. But you do not get there's just no other indications of any plant or animal life of any kind in these caves. And I think as you are reaching what seems to be a longer, straighter portion of tunnel than you've been in for a while, each of you gradually finds coming to your mind something that scares you. And I want each of you to tell me, what is the intrusive thought that scares you, that you kind of just find yourself running through your mind and you can't quite make yourself stop thinking about it?
That my parents will never be whole and I will never see them again.
That I am not as good as I hope to be.
That I am nothing.
These guys, great so far. I'd set up the bar a little bit here.
Spiders.
Colored green. Oh, I think the intrusive thought for Vertigo is that ultimately he's more dangerous than helping.
I just flashed on Return of the Jedi with Luke saying, "I'm endangering the mission. I shouldn't have come." So I think each of you, this starts subtly in such a way that I think for some time it would be impossible to determine that this is anything but just something that occurred to you and you're having trouble getting rid of it. But I will, after this has been going on for a while, and I think perhaps, your group as you travel, maybe you've been chatting, you've been talking about other things or just discussing stuff. I think you've kind of collectively stopped kind of really talking, and it's kind of gotten quiet and a little bit more tense. And I think that you maybe start to realize collectively that everyone else seems to be reacting to something too. You know you're feeling weird, like this scary thought that you can't stop thinking about, but you also kind of seems like everyone else is reacting like that too.
Hmm.
I think I would walk up by Zaleen and I would just take her hand. Just a little reassurance for both of us.
I would just squeeze her fingers, like, because I get it. We're the only ones who comfort. It's cool.
Nothing from
We're
anyone else?
we're dudes. We don't know how to do that.
Oh, I'm not going to make you.
Is
Well,
Way to
anyone else?
perpetuate the stereotype.
Well,
It's vertigo. He has to stop and think for an inordinate amount of time before doing anything.
does anybody else? Do you? Do you feel?
Yes. As I see that you're like having a hard time putting it into words, I'm just like, yes.
I don't know why. I may be able to help. Um, do you feel this, Trudelai?
well, I maybe something like I just been quiet for a little bit. I was just I didn't want to say anything because I'm supposed to be your guide and all, but I've just like been having the hardest time not thinking that I'm bringing good people to their deaths here.
Is this something you've had before? Or is
Uh,
this different?
I mean, I've never been in exactly this situation before, but like you're all feeling something too, I guess. Um, I don't think I've ever felt like this exactly. I mean, I've certainly been scared of things, but like, I don't think I've ever been made to be scared of something that isn't like, you know, roaring at me or something.
I don't know if this is fear or if this is. I've got a few things I can try to do. Um, I don't know if they'll make it worse because if we're close enough that magic might twist. Um, but I can try something if you want, or
I mean,
if
go ahead and sell me on it. I mean, sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just, you're not exactly explaining what you're talking about or what it would do or.
well, I can bolster someone against fear, but only to a limited degree. I can also make people's minds stronger, but it's more costly.
Well, I think rather than fussing with magic that may or may not work and might be expensive and could possibly go out of control, maybe just talking about what we're afraid of will help.
I prefer magic.
Well, I'm sure you would, but this is cheaper.
Some guys will cast a 5th level spell instead of just going to therapy.
What are
I've
you
had this
afraid of?
I've had this thought in my head that my parents will never be made whole from everything that they've endured, and at the same time that I'll never see them again. Like it's like the two are tied together, and if I were given the wish kind of thing that this Titan Pillar thing offers, it would be to make them whole, and so that they wouldn't need to be in the eternal waltz anymore, and then bring them home to me.
They did seem happy,
Mm. But at the
although
same time, that kind of fear is not about them as much as it's about you and what you want, not what they want.
Yeah, I didn't say it was rational. I said
I
it was
know. I'm
going
just,
through my head, and I
yeah.
can't make it stop.
well, the second part is rational. You're very unlikely to ever see them again.
That's kind of harsh.
Dude,
Sorry.
Aileen
Just
fixed it. I can go back anytime I want.
I mean, maybe, but it didn't feel like we were likely to ever go back there. I'm not.
Well, but Zinhorn could. Like, when we finish all of this, if we survive it, um, that could be home for Zinhorn. Like, that's possible. I mean, that's where Buster is from, so all of his family would be there. That makes sense.
Oh, if that's what you wanted.
I haven't made that decision. I'm here for now. I would like to see my parents once or twice more. Especially, like if there are any grandkids for them. I'd like them, any kids of mine, to meet their grandparents. But as happy as that place is, it's false. And I think I would need to be severely damaged, like most of the people there, before I would be willing to accept that reality.
I know it doesn't help anything to say, don't worry about that right now. There's so much ahead of us still. Because I can't make you any promises. I mean, I think we would all promise that we would help you try to get, your happy ending. I think that's something that we would all agree to. But, we can't, we don't know what's going to happen with any of this.
No, we don't.
But I don't think it's a completely irrational fear. I think it's justified to be worried about, the people that we care about and wanting to see them again and wanting to be happy with them and wanting everyone to be safe. That's normal and totally natural.
I
So
don't want any of you to go.
Like ever?
No. But I think you'll have to.
So I am going to go over and give Vertigo a hug. We will always be friends. It doesn't matter where we are, if we're in the same place or if we're on different planes of existence. Friends are friends. And that doesn't ever change regardless of distance.
Not distance, but what the pillar can offer is what this place can offer.
What about what you can offer?
I think that's worse.
How do you figure?
I want to know things. I want to know all the things, everything. I want to know how it all works and how it goes together and how it comes apart.
So, question. If you could know everything, where would that leave you? You'd already know everything, so there'd be nothing left to do, right?
And there's a very like one of those face goes sort of a little ashen and very blank as he sort of blinks bright, wide-eyed, like never thought of that before.
Pikachu
Um,
meme.
Kind of.
I, I, I never.
It's the not knowing that keeps you moving forward and wanting to see things and do things. If you knew everything, what would there be left for you to do, you know? So I think if you think about it that way, it's maybe can help you be okay with not knowing everything. Does that make sense?
So you're saying that if I only fail to achieve the very thing I want, I will become the thing I should be?
Sure. I'm not this, wise person. I don't know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. But I know it's your curiosity that makes you you. You, Vertigo. That's like the biggest thing about you is that you want to know stuff. And if you didn't have that, I don't know that I would recognize you anymore. And I don't know who you would be. And it's nice that you don't know everything because that means I have something to offer you. Maybe I know something that you don't know.
You know a lot of things I don't know. You always know more things than me.
Oh, that's
It's
not true at
actually-
all.
It's actually a little annoying at times, but like every time you sing, I don't know how that works. I can't even imagine how that works. Not the tone, quality of voice. I have illusions. I could mimic some of that. But it's more than that. It's like you're reaching into a deeper magic that I've never even considered possible.
Mm. It's just a different flavor, I think, than what you do. Because I listen to you talk about, how different magics work and theorize all of these crazy things that I can't even comprehend. And like sometimes I'm not even sure you're using real words. I'm sure you are, but I don't know what they are.
It becomes necessary to extend vocabulary in unknown areas, but I understand what you mean.
Like that. You know so much and you're always trying to learn more. And I don't think it's possible to fill you up. And I think that's great. So I would be very happy if you didn't ever know everything. Not that I think that's even really possible, but
I think
You
I
wouldn't be
came.
you anymore.
I think I came closer than I expected. I touched a mind that was far beyond anything I knew. And there are pieces still floating around, and maybe some of it here too.
Imagine, just imagine that even that mind didn't know all the answers, that it still had things to learn. Like, there will always be things that you don't know, just like Carolina said.
That's what makes life interesting. Makes us want to keep living it, right?
There's a frustrating sort of logic to that.
So now it's Zaylene's turn. It's like, okay, you go.
I don't
Doctor
don't
is
even
in.
know. I don't even know. I just I have this weird feeling that I'm not really anything. That in some ways I don't even really exist. That I don't know. I can't even put it into words. I just worry that I'm nothing.
So again, I'm going to take both her hands this time. You are definitely something. You are. I don't even have the words to describe how much you are. Just the person that we found and the person that you are now. It's incredible just the change in that short amount of time and how much you're able to do and the way you're able to affect people and bring them peace. And I know you'll say things like, oh, well, that was the mistress, but she can only grant power. You're the guiding force behind that. Your thoughts and your intentions. And that is so much. It's not something that can be measured. And just the effect that you've had on people, on other people, just the little ripples. And some of them are pretty big ripples. You sent a titan, a freaking titan, to their final rest. They were able to let go and move on thanks to what you were able to do for them. That is so much. But I think every one of us here would tell you that it's more than that. You're family to us now. You're someone to the world at large, but you're so much more to each of us.
Think
Maybe.
of all of the wonderful things you've done for Evan. I mean, you've set him on an amazing path to be so much more than he would have been if he had stayed in that little town, wandering, lost, and alone in his own little world.
His eyeliner game is on
I
point.
was gonna say the same thing. I literally was like waiting. I was gonna say the same thing.
I'm sorry I took that away from you.
It's okay. Great minds think alike. I just I don't know a lot about being a person. I feel like still, and I worry that one day it just won't mean anything anymore.
Can I tell you a secret? none of us really know how to be people. We're all just figuring it out as we go.
It's very much an enigma. And when you think you've got something figured out, the rules change. It's frustrating.
But I can 100% assure you that you are not nothing. Because if for nothing else, you're something to me. You're someone to me. And I couldn't ever forget that.
What is it you're afraid of?
It's so all my life, you guys know I love stories. All the stories that I've ever heard about people that can do what I can do, they're not good. They don't make people happy. I mean, the stories might, but those individuals. I've always wanted to be somebody that was a good person, that used what I can do to help people in an honest way. And I'm afraid that maybe it's just me wanting it so much, but that it isn't necessarily true.
I think out of everything you've ever said, and you've said a lot, that is the silliest, because of us all, you are the most genuine. The one who wants to help people. I mean, sure, I'll help people. Most of them deserve it. But the ones who don't, I probably wouldn't think twice about them. But I do, because of you. You make even the darkest people feel like they're worth saving.
You're always going on and on and on and on about the stories and songs of the heroes of legend. And I don't know most of the songs, and stories are a little bit vague. But I have done some historical reading. I had to. It was a required session before I was able to progress. Anyway, not everything that you've sung is exactly correct, at least according to some of the other historical records. But I've always thought that that's just because they were people and they had good and bad sides. They had flaws and okay, they did a few good things. But it was because their stories were told. And I think maybe the thing you need to do is tell your stories. And I will provide the historical record to make sure they're accurate.
Well, I mean, up until I met all of you, I didn't really have much of a story to tell. And this story now, this isn't my story, it's our story.
You were there. So
Well, yes, but whoever survives is the person that gets to tell it.
But I guess we all just have to make sure that you survive. Because I couldn't tell it.
I would be pretty academic. No one would want to sing my stories.
And there'd be so many questions in his stories that would never be answered because it's just part of who he is. And if Zinhorn was telling the stories, they'd be tailored towards little kids.
Yep.
Only you can tell it to the masses. So I guess we all have to just work extra hard to make sure that you survive. You're like our legacy.
Well, if it's all the same to you, I would really rather we all survive.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if sacrifices have to be made, like it can't be you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think you just showed that you are the nicest among us.
Did I?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well.
I feel better now because of you. Do I feel better, DM?
So I think so. I think I'm not going to make that decision for your character. I think you still feel that there is a sort of external pressure pushing on you. But I think by talking through these things in much the same way that it can help us to understand our own feelings, it gives you the additional ability to understand that while the thought itself may not have originated from outside of you, that there is something outside of you that's kind of putting its thumb on the scale at the moment. And so that hasn't stopped happening, but you have a better emotional context for what's happening. And I would also just imagine that talking through things with your friends feels good. So, at this point, Trudelight just bursts into tears. It's like, you're all such nice people, and I'm just going to get you killed. I like to pretend that I'm brave here, but what if that bravery is just foolishness? Like I'm leading you all into danger just because I don't want to. I'm afraid of looking like I'm afraid.
But
Well,
it's okay.
one cannot have courage if one is not afraid.
Well, okay, but that doesn't stop you from getting killed if there's actual
But
danger.
here's the thing though. Like you're guiding us to a place, not to the danger itself. The danger is what we choose pretty much everywhere we go. So if something terrible happens to us, it's not your fault.
Kind of
You know,
people
it's
that
probably
run
an
into
inevitability at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just what we do. And then I'll like nudge nudge Carolina to give him a card.
As
Yeah,
a card
probably
change,
do that.
danger is
Oh,
our
yeah.
business. You know.
I think she clutches the card almost like a talisman. All right. Well, all right. Thanks. I just whew. Yeah, yeah, this was a new one.
Hmm.
And I think
Does this always happen when you come down here?
no.
Or when you've come here before?
Uh-uh.
Hmm.
You think it's because we have Titan brains?
I don't know.
Like our Titan energy from that day still lingers and we're connecting with the Titan weapon in some way.
Did we drink in the Lady of Despair?
I mean, maybe. Who
Hmm.
knows? I mean,
I certainly hope not. She
that
was
is kind of
gross.
gross. I would puke, but
Yeah.
it's been a while, so now she's just a part of me. I don't know.
As you've all been kind of talking through this, and in some ways it's a little bit it's like what it feels like, I think, is in the same way that when you realize someone has cast an illusion spell, you can kind of see through it. It doesn't mean that the illusion goes away, but you can recognize that it's an illusion, right? And I think that's kind of what it feels like now, is that you can still sort of feel that feeling, but there's an element to which it feels artificial now. And I think as you are all kind of sort of rallying your emotional energy in this way, you hear there's a gust of uh, warm, humid wind that rushes down the tunnel along with a "Go back."
Anybody
Well,
else
it was
reminded
nice
of
knowing
that?
you guys.
I'm reminded of that scene in Labyrinth, the false
Yes.
alarms.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
You know, as weapons go, that's fairly effective.
Yeah, true. True to light
Yeah,
will say,
but,
like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
I will use thaumaturgy on my voice to make it boom
Hmm.
much louder than normal. And in reply, just say, "But we just want to talk."
I think there's a long pause, and then it just says, "Go back," again. And
We're not going to.
I want to convey in the context that I cannot make my voice fully do what you are experiencing right now, which is an enormous sounding voice. Like you get the feeling that this wind is literally just the movement of the breath of that voice.
I take it that's new too, true to lie.
Yeah, I don't. It maybe is connected or something, but I mean, I told you that there might be unpredictable dangers, and so in that sense, I would say this is one of those. But I don't know anything more specific. I don't know what it is.
Does it feel
It's
like there's power in the voice? Like, does that feel a compulsion at all?
Uh, no, it doesn't feel like the voice itself contains any magic to it beyond just it's obviously a big voice. It's not like it doesn't feel like it has any sort of hypnotic or charm or fear effect to it. It's just the sound. But the sound is intimidating in its own right.
If it persists, I can maybe do something about it. But I think that we're determined to go forward.
I will use thaumaturgy again to call out, "We're coming in."
um so not to, maybe make everybody worry here, but that was a voice and definitely felt like breath. Yeah?
Hmm.
Can we agree on that? And just looking at these tunnels, something dug them. Like,
I
can
mean,
we maybe
water
make
does
any
that.
inferences here? I don't know. For all I know, we're gonna just walk down this tunnel into a dragon's mouth. I don't know. Have we considered this possibility?
Well,
It would be
yeah,
interesting to meet another dragon.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, Zenhorn, maybe you're related.
we could definitely be related. It's a possibility. I was going to
Think
suggest that we could call out and say we were delivering food, but if it was a dragon, it might think we were the food, and that's
Yeah,
probably not a great way
no.
to
If
go.
you don't go back, you'll die.
Well, I mean, we're all going to die anyway at some point.
Mm,
I will use
try.
thaumaturgy again and be like, "Will it be painful?"
Almost certainly. No, that's not what it says. I think that there's no direct response to that.
Hmm.
Are you sure you don't want a friend?
Go back or die.
All right. Well, I will
Mm.
cast protection from evil and good on Carolina. And then, I mean, I say we just keep going. We can't be deterred from this. We have to go forward. So
Yep.
we really don't have a choice.
I am gonna cast Aid at 5th level on the 3 of you guys.
I think
You
I
get
need
20
to
hit
give.
points.
Oh,
Override.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
20.
20.
To everybody?
No, just the 3 of you.
Oh,
Okay.
those are temporary or
Those
No,
that's
they're the
aid, which
override.
is like
Okay.
yeah.
So I will also cast aid, but I'm not as cool as you.
I
So
don't
I
know.
will cast it on you,
Huh.
Zinhorn,
Okay.
at level 4, so you get 15.
Can you do Buster and the other guy too?
Yep.
Sweet.
Well, if we're getting ready.
Um, let's see. Yes, I think that Vertigo will. Yeah, it's touch. Grab Lynn's sleeve and grab Zaylene's sleeve. No, you cast. Who did you? This is getting confusing. Who did you cast protection from evil and good? You cast it on Lynn, didn't you?
I cast it on her.
Okay.
Yep.
Then grab Zaylene and Zinhorn sleeves, and twin cast protection from evil and good on each of them. Slap the book, and point the finger at Lynn to give her 16 temporary hit points. And the blue glow resumes around Vertigo.
Aren't you all so nice to each other?
well, if we're gonna pass around protection from evil and good, I'm gonna cast it on Vertigo.
This is like, hey, look, if I put sunscreen on your back, will you put it on mine?
Yep. So yeah, that's with my mandolin. So, boop. Now you got that Vertigo. Oh wait, that only lasts for 10 minutes though.
Yeah.
Is that we think
That's
that's
okay.
sufficient?
I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
In Vertigo's case, it comes with side effects that he uses, so it's just as effective if it only lasts 10 minutes. But
Right. And then I can't remember how the song goes. It's been so long since I've yeah. So quietly to Zaylene, I will do no smile nor song can make me untrue. No matter what comes, I will follow you. And now you have Bardic Inspiration.
Okay, Trudeli, I think we're ready to move forward. If there's any trouble, step back behind us.
All right. Well, I can I can fight a little too. I mean, I'm no slouch, but yeah, I'll follow your lead as far as that
So-
goes.
part of
If
me
it
wants to be
gets really
patronizing.
terrible,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if it gets really terrible, just run. Run away, save yourself. Like if it's a
Part-
dragon or anything, just get.
Get thee behind us.
Yes.
We just want to be, the mental image of the tiny little gnome dressed in robes, kind of coming up to the taller humanoid, just tapping him on the shoulder. There, it'll be fine.
All right.
But yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's all right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put us on a map. you will have moved forward a bit in this. Let's see. I'm trying to. Gosh, there we go. I could have reduced the GM layer opacity sooner so that I didn't just show everybody watching the stream what's going on here. But let's put you all on. Yeah, so you should be seeing this cave map. You're all in the upper left region.
Yep.
All right. And so the cave map doesn't make this obvious, but so the part of the tunnel that you were in that was sort of long and straight has kind of now opened up into this more irregular area again. And I put Buster on there because I didn't know if you were going to have him out or not. But I'm guessing it sounds like he hasn't been out this whole time. But you could bring him out in all your preparations.
Yeah, we bring him out.
All right. Let me make sure you can. Yeah.
Yeah, we must have, because I cast aid on Buster
Yeah.
and True to Life.
Yeah, I just realized I hadn't given you control of your tokens, but I'm doing that right now.
Oh, we don't have a True to Lie either. We just
Yeah.
assume that True to Lie is hiding behind something, I guess.
No, I should put a token out there for her because I have stats and stuff for her. Okay, you should all be able to use your move your tokens now, and then let's. You know what? That's just, you know what? I don't. That works well enough. It's a portrait instead of a regular token, but that'll be True to Lie. Okay, so you have definitely gotten the feeling though that like this there wasn't any other way to go. This is the way that the tunnel you were in has led you.
This is the way.
So you're just moving forward, I imagine.
Did you say that we were further along, or this is where it brought us
You
to,
had
like, we're
traveled for a
starting
few.
here?
No, you had traveled for a couple of like 2-3 minutes, let's say, from where you were to this point.
Okay.
So your spells are still up and stuff, but it wasn't right there.
Okay.
All right.
So, onward ho.
What'd you call me?
You heard me. Move it.
Zinhone.
Zinhone.
Oh, I just realized I didn't have that. I need to put that
You,
extension
is
back
it
on.
dark in here?
Yes.
It's still dark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I assumed you still had your light inset, etc.
Dancing lights.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
dancing lights are concentration, isn't protection from
Yeah.
Yep.
protection
Oh,
from
okay.
evil and
So
good
I
is-
don't have it up anymore. But I can see. So did you have yours up, Lynn?
I did, but not anymore.
I would like to think that we have a torch in one of our backpacks.
Yeah, like True to Lie definitely has torches, and so she could have one up. All right. So you're moving forward. You haven't heard anything else from the voice since that last exchange. You're just kind of moving forward here. Right here, you do see what looks like it's a deep crevasse. It's you can't see the bottom.
I want to make sure that I am using my boon from Solomonia, my squinty eyes, my true
Alright.
sight, just to
Mhm.
scan every now and then, just so we don't
Mhm.
miss anything.
Certainly within that range, you don't have any trouble with darkness at all, and certainly you would, yeah. So I think, as you get to about there, the held action that has been held is going to trigger, and I think one at Zaleen and one at Zinhorn. A pair of enormous rocks hurl themselves out of the darkness as soon as you have made line of sight here, and so I'll have those roll those attacks here against Zaleen. Oops, is it not go? Okay, that's a 30 to hit.
No. that would never hit.
For 26 bludgeoning damage. And then against Zinhorn, a 25 to hit.
That'll hit.
For 24 bludgeoning damage.
Not cool.
Yeah, and as you reel from that enormous strike, you look over, and up on this ledge is a giant, but not merely like a giant. This is a big giant, like 40 feet tall.
Whoa.
So like even like storm giants are like 25, 30 feet tall. This giant is, enormous, and it has strange horns and like growths all over it, and it's just sitting there in a relatively miserable looking sort of posture, except that it has also just thrown giant rocks at you. And so I think we're going to go ahead and roll for initiative.
So how big are these caverns if there's a 40-foot tall giant over there?
In this area, so not only do you see this crevasse that is deeper than you can see, but it's got a pretty high ceiling, certainly high ceiling over where he is. But he's also kind of sitting on that spot. Let's move her up. All right. So I think we still need initiative from.
I'm not.
I have it, but I'm not showing
Okay.
up on the tracker.
All right. Well, I can add you guys, but if you have your token selected when you roll your initiative, it should put you on the tracker automatically. But I can do it for you too. That's fine.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Neither did I.
I'll have to know that next time.
Hmm.
Huh.
And then I need to roll for Buster.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try that. Select Buster. And I'm not rolling an initiative because I had advantage. Alright. And Buster gets 12.
All right. Let's see. But who's got higher dex, Buster or Vertigo?
It's a +2 in Vertigo's case.
Give me 1 sec to bring up Buster. +1 for Buster.
All right. So Vertigo first then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Lynn, you are up first as you react quickly to suddenly Zaleen and Zinhorn are just pelted with giant rocks from out of the darkness. So you probably from where you are can't even see what through them yet.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna go like right, obviously not in the wall, but
Sure,
you
yeah.
know, along the wall.
Mhm.
Maybe peek around.
Mhm.
So do I see
Yes,
person?
and when you do that, as you peek and you get line of sight on it, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Oh, great, because I am so awesome at those. Well, I mean, that could have been worse. It's a 19.
A 19 is a success. There is a moment where what you see there is like the fear that you just were talking about as you were going through that tunnel was more sort of abstract. But this, I think for a moment, it looked as though it were somehow, like you would know it in a dream, a monstrous version of you, like this is how bad you could be. And for a second, this sort of vision would strike terror through your heart, but then you are able to shake it off and recognize this is just the up close version of that feeling you were feeling before. It's not real. And so once you realize that, you see the giant's form crouched there.
There's a couple of things we should probably take note. Those of you who are damaged, if you have concentration spells, will have to roll. But also, I don't know whether it qualifies, but protection from evil and good for certain creatures provides advantage versus fear. I don't know if that's relevant.
Oh. It would be relevant if the spell is still up. But yes, you would need to make the concentration checks. Those were relatively hard hits too. So for the concentration for Zaleen, it looks like it does not save. And then for Zinhorn, you were making a Constitution
I'm
save.
not doing. No,
Yeah,
I don't.
you got hit by a giant rock. Did you not have any concentration spells?
I do not.
Oh,
have a
okay. Well, my
concentration
mistake then.
spell.
Yeah,
Never
just
mind.
aid, I
yeah,
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All I had was aid, and that is
Nope,
not
you're right. You're right.
concentration.
So in any case, though, yeah. So you still have your turn, Lynn. You know, you were able to resist the fear effect.
So this giant,
Hmm.
how do they look? Like, do they look angry or sad, or like what's the general feeling here?
Make an insight check.
Okay. Ooh, pretty good at those. Well, when I don't roll a 4, it's a 14.
I think they look miserable, but angry as too. In a sort of way, like what comes to mind for me is when you've got like a 4-year-old who's thrown a tantrum and wants you to go away. Right? Maybe that primary emotion is upset, but it does not change the fact that they're angry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you get from an insight roll there. They look pretty unhappy, but that perhaps part of the source of their unhappiness, at least at the moment, is you all being here and not listening to them when they told you to go back.
Okay, so rather than attack, I'm going to attempt to talk to them. This might be a really bad idea. Don't know.
Hey, friend.
Hello, hi there. I know that we are maybe intruding a little bit. We're really just passing through, and if you don't want company, all we want to do is go through. But I mean, we're welcome to stop and we're happy to stop and chat. But really, we just want to pass through. Could we maybe have your permission? Would that be okay?
I'm trying to decide how receptive they are to like just words, because I know you're very persuasive, and so
Nobody's attacked yet.
Yeah,
so.
no, I know. And so I'm just trying to think about what level of mechanical effect is possible here from just talking. I think let's do it as a persuasion check with disadvantage because they don't look like they're being terribly rational right now.
That, and then
Wow. Okay. I should have known better. So with disadvantage, that's a 26.
I have a +9, so
Yeah. So it is not their turn right now. It is, so you've just said all of that. We're going to have to wait for their turn to know how they're going to react. But that's obvious. That's a pretty good roll. But in the meantime, though, Vertigo, it would be your turn next. I mean, you certainly heard everything that she just said.
Yeah, it is kind of like, you got this, right? But probably not. Let's see. Well, has to go closer to find out what's going on. We can just get to there, and I should be able to see at least what this thing is.
And yeah, when you get line of sight on it from that distance, because I'm pretty sure, you need to make the wisdom save through now. Too.
Okay. And I think it was Zaleen who had cast protection on. Yeah, so that's gone.
Yeah.
Now. Okay. Is it, however, a magical effect?
Yes.
Okay, so I still have advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I cast protection from good and evil on Carolina.
Oh, it was on Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Carolina that cast it on? Did anybody cast it
On
on
you.
Someone,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's still-
then it would still be up.
Okay. Well, it's advantage either way because it's
Okay.
magical. But
So a 21 is sufficient, and so I think that there's a moment where what you see, like with Lynn, you see this thing as a manifestation of your deepest fear, but you're able to shake off the effect, recognizing it as artificial, and see instead the giant's real form sitting there.
kind of looking over at Lynn as in the well, actually, I suppose there probably is the spoken question from telepathy.
It's like, do you think you're getting through?
won't know if we don't try. It's the best I got because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that it rolled, it's last on the initiative, so you don't.
Yeah. And this is all stone around us too.
Yeah, and I mean you're like right on the edge of a crumbly, deep crevasse too.
Right. That's more dangerous. I think Vertigo is just going to I don't know how much I can affect with that. Just a second. 5 feet away. Doesn't really work that way. Okay. I think is just going to move back another around the corner, and yeah, I think hold as reaction. So just in case. So no spell.
All right, so Buster would be next, but let's treat the fiction with respect here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know, I think, as a party, you understand that you probably are all inclined to try to, at the very least, give Lynn's idea a chance to work, right?
Right.
But Buster just saw a giant thing throw a big rock at you and hit you and hurt you, Zinhorn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he would be inclined to?
I think that he would be looking at me for guidance.
So maybe he would hold his turn until you give him an instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll let him essentially defer his turn till after you.
All those
Yeah,
obedience
'cause-
training lessons have paid off.
Yeah, my first um, reaction was to just yell out, "Not cool," not to, you
Mhm.
know, roar a battle cry or anything else.
Sure.
So
Mm-hmm. So in any case, then, if he's waiting to see what you'll do, then it's your turn.
okay, I am going to give Lynn a chance and call Buster back and duck around the corner because
Okay.
I don't want to be in line of sight of that thing when
Mhm.
it if it doesn't go our way.
Right. Okay. And then so I think Buster follows your directive then. So Zaleen, it would be your turn. You do see this thing. You don't have, like Zinhorn didn't, you don't have to make the wisdom save because you are actually just out of range of that particular effect.
Okay. I'm going to cast invisibility on myself,
Okay.
and then I am going to move up this way a little bit
All right.
so that, like, if it does throw anything at me, it has like disadvantage.
Um,
It'll be less likely
I,
because it can't see me.
oh, well, certainly it would have disadvantage because it can't,
Mhm.
because you're invisible. So that, yeah, that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm like, in my mind, I would hope that it would throw like where it threw before,
Mhm.
like thinking I was still there.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Um, and that's it.
All right. Yeah, I think following all of your lead, True to Lie is also going to just kind of like hide out around the corner here and wait to see what happens. It is the giant's turn now, and I think it sort of scowls in like angry frustration at you, Lynn, and it just says, "Go back or you'll die." But it doesn't attack again.
Trying to think. There's something I can do here. Because of course I don't have calm emotions or anything like that. Because why would I, right?
I mean, you know,
Hmm.
it doesn't come up all the time, but
Yeah, I just never have it when I need it.
mhm.
um, let's see. Because I'm sort of curious if this is a warning that it's going to kill us or something else worse is down the road. Hmm.
I have calm emotions.
You have it prepared?
Yeah.
Well, well, that's worth considering.
Hmm.
Um. Could you explain if is there something worse down the tunnel and you want us to turn around, or are you saying you're gonna kill us? I mean, it's talking, so
I will. Yeah. So I'm not gonna like cut you off. I think that as you are kind of saying all of that, I think you're gonna like what little bit you can see before it would be its turn again. I'll say you have a little bit of an impression like you're saying too much and like you're making it too complicated. Like you know you might be able to like get your tone and all that, but you're kind of confusing
yeah,
it.
yeah. Toddler, right? Forgot. My bad.
Well, no,
So
I'm
just,
no,
like,
I'm.
look at the others like,
It's not you're bad.
ideas?
I'm giving you, the
Mhm.
feedback that
Right.
that's the expression you get is he's frowning because you're saying too many words at him.
So yeah, I guess like I could maybe rephrase. It's like, let's see, you danger, you kill, or farther down kill. I don't know. Doing my best, man.
Now you're just being condescending.
Whatever.
um,
That giant doesn't even know what that word means.
hmm. So in any case, though, it would be you have said those things, and now it's Vertigo's turn.
Okay. We may have to make a quick retreat. So where is that? There we go. So Vertigo will move between two of them. Reach back for True to Lie's hand, kind of gimme, and reach forward to Lynn's hand as well. And at third level, on myself, Lynn, and True to Lie, cast Long Strider. It increases your moving speed by 10 feet for an hour.
Nice. All right.
There, you should be able to move faster if you need to. And then by the end of his turn, kind of move over here to hopefully be beside the two of them for next round.
Okay.
And Zalen's gone.
She was here a second ago. Did she fall in the crevasse?
She's fond of darkness. She's just hiding in the darkness somewhere. Wait a night.
Let's see. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so that would make it your turn, Zinhorn.
Okay. I am going to move up and cast Calm Emotions.
Okay. I was just looking up that spell and I was surprised because it is a charisma saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have him try to make that save and we'll see. Oh, that looks like a 17. So I think that at least for this casting of the spell, there is you sort of feel the emotions there that the spell could take root in, like you're sensing a possible working there, but before the spell can take effect, he shakes his head just. Argh! So he manages to resist it here, but you definitely you sense with the spell that it is like there's emotion there to be calmed.
Okay. Well, that might work next try. And I back up.
All right.
And I sell Buster Stay.
Sure. Okay, Zaleen.
I'm going to move back up here. And I'm not trusting this thing. I feel some empathy for it, but I'm also kind of like, eh. So I'm going to hold Insect Plague.
Okay.
And if it attacks, I'm going to fire it off at it.
All right.
That's that.
Okay. I think True to Lie is continuing to just say is like I'm ready for whatever we need to do. And I think the giant's turn, it's going to kind of get up off of where it's kind of sitting hunched over on this ledge and kind of just move over here, and it sort of stands with one leg astride this crevasse. And it's even still here in the cavern having to kind of stand hunched over because these big horns that it's got are leaving gouges in the rocky ceiling and sending like debris falling down on its head. And even as it does that, it goes, ah! But it is moving over here to sort of leer down at you and just say, "That way bad! Go back! Go away!" But it continues to not attack, but nonetheless forcefully insist on its previously stated position. That would be your turn again, Lynn.
I don't even know if that would work. Does it look like it's from here?
You have never seen anything that looks like this thing before. It does
So
not
I'm
look
gonna-
particularly adaptive to any kind of environment. Certainly not a cave that's too small for it to stand up straight in.
Right. So I'm gonna back up just like one step with like my hands raised. It's like, is this your home? Just wanna
Go ahead
see
and
what
make
he
another
does.
persuasion check, just because you're working a lot with tone here.
Still at disadvantage or
No, I think you can roll this one straight. You're making some progress here in the sense that it's not attacking but you also have not changed its mind is the thing, right? But 19 is not bad. Yeah, so we'll we can potentially step out of initiative here because you guys are kind of like you're specifically not antagonizing it, but it is right now still insisting that you turn around and go back. So we'll jump back into initiative if it seems like events merit that. But in the meantime, I think if no one else does anything in the meantime, we can just continue it as the follow-up from Lynn's scene, or Lynn's line. And it just says...
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay,
move.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right. Sure.
I'm gonna move up here by Buster, but I'm staying invisible.
Okay. Did you want to do something, Zinhorn?
I just don't want to get hit with the same thing
Sure.
as Lynn, so I'm gonna
Yeah. Okay.
move over here.
Right.
I think Buster would move where he could see me.
And I think it shakes his head and like its horns are still like scraping across the ceiling and it's standing like crooked and he says, "Not home. No one's home. Go back."
Do you want to go home?
I think it kind of just like looks really unhappy at that and then it kind of just comes back over here and just kind of like sulks down sitting again like a sulking toddler. Can't go home.
Oh. The bubble? Is that why?
Are you
No.
stuck? Are you too big for the cave?
Cave too small.
Where
if we
is
could-
home?
he doesn't. Doesn't really respond to that.
Hmm. Do you want help to go home? We can maybe help.
No one can help. Too scared.
I'm not scared.
Make a persuasion check. He kind of. I think he looks at you with sort of like suspicion. He's like, everybody's scared.
Hmm. Um, I'm going to test the
Pillar,
waters
make
by
everyone scared of me.
What was that first word?
Pillar.
Yeah.
Pillar.
Oh. Hmm.
And for the record, too, I'll also say it's really hard to not be at least intimidated by this guy. Because it's one thing to say, oh, he's a toddler and he's upset, he's cranky, but he's also the kind of toddler that could just get mad and throw something at you and just squish you into paste.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
very of mice and men kind of situation here.
Yeah, Sinhorn's
Oh,
Like, you can have
trying
pity
to.
for him and still find him
Lenny.
physically extremely threatening.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's dealt with, kids
Mhm.
for so
Yeah.
long. He's like, well, I should be able to handle this.
Oh, well, hey,
And at the same time, there's this big, scary monster.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
Well,
his
he's
brain
calmed
is
down a
locked.
little bit. You might try calm emotions again.
there might be another way.
Hmm?
If he's infested with the power of the pillar, he might be able to draw that out. It would probably be dangerous. A
But
bit
it's not.
unpredictable.
It's not nightmares. It's the pillar did this, right?
Well,
Does that work the same way?
there's a running theory that they're intimately related, although I don't have all the facts on that and haven't been able to make many tests so far, but there's that theory.
So
So I think that's 60 feet.
Hmm. Are you asking me?
I'm trying to figure out how to use the tool.
Okay.
Yes, I'm within 60 feet.
Alright.
Okay. So, I will try calm emotions again.
Okay. Have him try the save again here. Wow. Okay. He keeps rolling high enough, and I think part of what's happening here is just that like it's you get the sense I think with this second casting of it that part of what's happening here is that it's not in somewhat of the same way that this pressure, this mental pressure causing you to think fearful thoughts, you think it's coming from him, but that he is not immune to it. And you think that that might be preventing him from calming down in the way that he might otherwise.
I wonder how. And it's probably way too big, though. It's like if that magic could be muted, like in a cage in a pouch, but I think this creature's a bit too large for that.
I think it would damage the cage just by
Yeah.
its sheer physical size.
Well, he
Why
wouldn't
did-
fit through the opening of the bag.
That's true too.
Why didn't we bring the shrinky growy ray that we were having get fixed for like 2.5 years now? Like, why didn't we ever pick
You
it
had
up?
other priorities.
It's possible that I might be able to push away the effect temporarily. Um, I know how to dispel magic. This is a different form of it. it might at least offer some relief.
I
It
mean,
might do
I can
nothing.
do dispel magic as well.
I'm probably better at it.
Well, I mean, I could do it at eighth level if pressed. I don't know that
I'm
that's
still
going to work
probably
Well,
better
yeah,
at it.
I
on
mean,
the pillar
Vertigo is
magic, you know.
specifically an abjuration wizard. It's like that's his specialty.
Right.
Hmm.
But just saying, I can
Yeah,
be back
well,
up.
that's good. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I can try it.
What is the distance here? Oh yeah, it's well within range.
Mm-hmm. So
So
you're
yeah, cast dispel magic at 3rd level.
okay. I mean, I think that what's happening to him is more powerful than 3rd level effect, but you can go ahead and make your spell casting ability modifier.
16.
Yeah. I think that you get a sudden drop in intensity of this mental pressure you've been feeling, and I think all of you sort of probably collectively just like, oh, you just feel that tension ease, and all of a sudden the giant kind of just straightens up and looks over at you and just says, "What do you do?"
We want to help.
The effect is likely temporary, so if we're going to do something, we should do it swiftly.
I'll try calm emotions again.
Right. I think in this case I'll just roll. I'm not going to have him roll it again, just because I think in this case you've now defeated the thing that was trying to fight against it. He wouldn't be resisting it this time. So once that works, you see even more his face just relaxes and he just says, "Sorry I throw a rock at you, but dangerous in there."
From the invisible shadows by Buster, I'm like, it's okay.
I would offer him a business card, but I don't think it would like
I don't
He
think he can read.
Yeah, he kind of just he just sort of he lays over on his side with his so this 10-foot ledge that he's basically using like a pillow.
Um,
Ask him what the danger is.
well, given our friend's difficulty with complete sentences, it might be faster if I were to look directly.
mm,
You can try it.
He seems pretty passive at the moment.
Let's see. 30 feet. So I think I got to get it closer. Still. Whoop. Yeah, to get a bit closer. So Vertigo will creep closer to about there.
Mhm.
Still quite cautious. Yep. And cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. I think the surface thoughts that you get are very like they're not especially verbal, but that doesn't interfere with the spell. You are getting I think the surface level thought is basically like like a vague sense that this might not last, but they wish it would. They feel better. Um, but there's like, it's not worry that it won't last because right now that worry is being suppressed, but it's more kind of like a recognition that like they've helped for a little bit and that's maybe good, even if it doesn't last. But that's kind of the surface thought. And then I would imagine you probe deeper.
He will warn it.
Do not be afraid. I'm here trying to help.
with telepathy.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
then, yes.
resist, and I think with this, at this point, this creature's mind is basically an open book to you, and what you see is that this giant was once a Dinu Therin humanoid like any other, who had always gone through his life getting picked on and went to the pillar. And you get the impression that perhaps what he subconsciously wanted from the pillar was for people to be afraid of him. And he has been in these caverns since. He doesn't know how long, but it feels long.
I know it's probably really not safe, but I just want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
Well, right now he is calmed and seems relaxed, but it also would be like, I think with both hands you couldn't put your arms all the way around his thumb.
But
All
it
right,
would
well,
be
we've
the
got about
intention.
a
You get
minute.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Vertigo would relay all of that and also try to find his name.
You don't. He doesn't seem to remember.
Okay. The danger that he was concerned about.
Basically, that from his perspective, he went through here to go to the pillar, and then this happened to him. It's bad. And he doesn't want anyone else to do it. I think you also get, I'll go ahead and just say, like, you, because he's making it so easy for you right now, you also discover his own fears are worse when there are other people here afraid of him. When he's by himself, it's, not good. But when other people are experiencing the fear that he generates, it's worse for him too. And so part of it may just be he's just trying to keep everyone away.
Oh. I wonder.
Do you think remove curse would help against Titan magic?
I don't know if it's so much a temporary effect, so much as what he is now. But, I mean, you can certainly try.
I think that I'm not going to tell you not to try it, but I think you would certainly be aware that if this was Titan level magic that did this to him,
Mm-hmm.
even a 9th level spell, like even this dispel that's on him, is just temporary. So the
Right.
idea of removing a Titan level type of curse is that's a very narrow chance of success there.
Mm.
Sounds like something the wish spell could probably fix.
Yeah.
Certainly something on that order is probably what's necessary.
I mean, the
I
wish
was-
I'm
spell
working on
kind of
it.
created in the first place, you might say. So
The good news is, at least the fear that he has of what's ahead is what we're already aware of.
I was thinking about uh, divine intervention.
I mean, you can certainly try it. You can make the roll.
Yeah.
It's beyond me.
Oh, great and powerful Rushama, please help this creature and take away his curse and his pain.
That's
Good luck.
percentile dice.
Yep. Nope.
No, unfortunately, Rushama, connects with you, um, but says, this is a magic of a type that is requires more than any one cleric can provide.
Hmm. Oh, is there a way Zanine and I can work together?
Well, I mean, that wasn't really what I was trying to indicate, but
I got it.
yeah. So I think as you are kind of talking through it as a group, as much as it would, I understand all of you would like to be able to just solve this guy's problem. I think you recognize that it at least right now it may be beyond your abilities to do so.
While he is calm, can we find a way to explain why we need to go forward and that it would be in an effort to help him? Like,
I mean, yeah.
I was
I
going to
mean,
say, like, can Vertigo convey that in a way, like, mentally, so that it's easier for him to understand than us trying to, use words to explain it, because that seems
I
to
mean,
confuse him a
I
little
think
bit.
right now he's not going to try to stop you. You could try to persuade him that somehow it'll be okay for you, but right now he's been sort of pacified enough that he's not going to stand in your way. But he might just still say, "Bad that way. You should
No,
not go."
we don't really want to, but we have to. We need to save people. Thank you for listening and for trying to help. We'll come back and see you again, okay?
Okay.
Let me see if
I see
I wonder
Mark
if I
over
have.
there. It's like, meh.
I'm just trying to think if like had anything,
Hmm.
if I would have anything in my inventory, like I don't know, like a teddy bear or something. Just
Yeah.
he needs a friend.
It'd be like this big.
Well, you know what? I have
Oh,
like little charms that are like that big. That could still be very cute.
Yeah.
Mark, do you still have what was it? No, I think that's stone shape that I'm thinking of. Because you did like the mold earth or something before.
Yeah,
I
it
think
doesn't
I think
do.
yeah, stone shape would be required for this.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't do a
I
huge amount.
I could do that, but I can't do it today.
Says every cleric ever.
Hmm.
Yep, said that a few times.
How
Yeah.
Yeah.
about
Hmm.
tomorrow? Uh,
I don't know if there's much more we can do. Um,
What if you left a nice magic mouth here to tell it nice happy things so that it doesn't feel so sad?
you're
Does
good
it
enough.
work
You're
like
kind enough, and
Yes,
doggone
and
it,
gosh
people
darn
like
it,
you.
people like
Yeah.
you.
I wonder if that would work kind of like a tape recorder and I could record him a song in a
Yeah.
magic mouth so they just
I
sing
mean,
their
imagine you could certainly. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's not my spell though, so I could not personally do it, and I don't know if that's
I
works
think
like
I
that.
would allow that to work. Like even if the magic mouth spell was cast, say by Vertigo, I would allow that you could be the one that provides the sound for it.
I would probably leave him with Whither Wanders a Druid, I think. Because it's a lullaby. It's very calming. Seems like the kind of thing he would
Yeah,
enjoy or need.
yeah.
So yeah.
You just have you put it like on a rock where he could just like wave his hand over it and it plays.
Yeah, sure.
I really like that. I think you show him that and he's just kind of like transfixed by it. He's listening and then he keeps like every time it finishes he restarts it.
Okay.
Well, that can help. That was not something I would have thought of.
See, there's always something new to learn.
True.
Sometimes people all they need is a little bit of kindness.
All right.
Shall we?
Yeah.
I've heard them
So
long.
yeah,
Well done.
I think as the pocket protectors make their way deeper into this network of tunnels, that's where we will leave our session for tonight. So thank you everyone for listening and or watching. And we are not going to be running next week or the week after because I'm going to be out of the country. But after that, we will return for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
So many
levels.
travels.
So many levels with giants and